like to introduce Rick Newton and his speech is Worldview of Progressives versus Conservatives. Rick.
Over here on the right, the typical conservative says that progressives are at least misguided and in some cases perverse, irrational, and just plain dumb. Progressives, on the other hand, say about themselves that progressives are rational and above all focused on the greater good. The typical progressive says about those conservatives that they are at least contradictory and in some cases corrupt, immoral frauds, and just plain evil. Conservatives say, what? We are moral and above all focused on individual responsibility. Now, as we look at the worldviews, do you think that if you understood the core beliefs of progressives versus conservatives, that you could then expect that there could be some basis of a compromise? Now, as Tyler mentioned, this is about research, so this is primarily based on a book by Thomas Sowell that I read in August that is called Conflict of Visions. I also have included some other philosophers and authors that you'll hear a little bit about as we go through. So my speech starts to address this conflicting worldviews that then we live with of economics, laws, politics, religion, private contracts, natural resources, education, race relations, war, crime, third world development, personal property, healthcare, and of course the list goes on. Let's get to the worldviews. Over here on the conservative side, we believe that human nature is unchanging and is therefore constrained. Think of the 7 deadly sins: pride, envy, gluttony, lust, anger, greed, and sloth. Us progressives understand that, but we believe in the potential of humans, and that's not constrained. It's completely unconstrained. Think of the virtues that we see: humility, empathy, moderation, self-constraint, kindness, generosity, and effort that counter all of those issues that you mentioned of the 7 deadly sins. You're missing the point. Over here for conservatives, all humans are selfish and have dangerous impulses. Humans cannot change nor evolve. Remember that. They cannot change or evolve their nature in these limitations. You can only reinforce rewards and punishments in order to cause the humans to address the need for justice and virtue. Nature always overrides nurture. Self-control and respect for authority are key, but we still believe in empathy and caring for others. You're missing the point again. All humans have inherent intentions and commitments to virtues. I just told you that. Humans always change and evolve towards ideal solutions. That's the human condition. Humans need, though, enlightened leaders to demonstrate and role model how this can happen, and therefore nurture always overrides nature. And your point was reversed. Empathy and caring for others always overrides self-control and respect for authority. As I mentioned, the philosophers and the authors go back 300 years, so I've collected information from the 1700s, 1800s, and 1900s to see if we can apply it to the 21st century. So on the conservative side, we have Thomas Hobbes, Adam Smith, Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, Oliver Wendell Holmes, Friedrich Hayek, and Milton Friedman. Over here on the progressive side, we have Rousseau, Voltaire, Thomas Paine, George Bernard Shaw, John Kenneth Galbraith, and Earl Warren. From that vantage point, as a progressive, let me talk about the basis of human knowledge, and that it is not limited. Its application through reason and rationality can obviously create ideal solutions. Now, if I use the language of the early 1900s, those ideal solutions in that day were called utopias. Best judgment and decision-making come from the few enlightened intellectuals rather than the many common people. Again, back in the early 1900s, these were coronated, literally, as PhDs. The common people are far beneath the skill and knowledge, therefore, of these enlightened few. You gotta be kidding me. Human knowledge is completely limited, and it's only modified by the experience of history that gets collected into what I would call society's rules, both written and unwritten. And the best judgment making clearly comes from the many common people, not this few enlightened intellectual group you talk about. And the common people collectively, through their diverse range of skills and knowledge, are far superior to any individual enlightened few that you're referring to. I can prove different. Society's rules evolve most effectively when they are intentionally changed, not gradually evolved. The enlightened few use urgent new policies of change that we've successfully implemented. Since complete knowledge of all relevant facts is possible with the human mind, we therefore can expect these optimal results from what we're doing in these perfect solutions. That can't happen. Society's rules evolve most effectively when not intentionally designed. Common people must evaluate and gradually evolve this, and the complete knowledge of all relevant facts is impossible. You have to expect the fact that there will be defects that are inevitable as you go through in doing these different implementations. Now, optimization of society's benefits comes from the individual being forced into compassion and charity for overall public good. The enlightened few, therefore, must enforce altruistic benefits and beliefs on the common people, expecting equality of outcomes. That's the only way that this grand potential of all humans can flourish. Now I'm getting worried. Optimization of society's benefits can come only from the individual being responsible and accountable for their capability within a given system of rules. Common people enforce equality of opportunity, resulting in each person's responsibility and accountability for their success or failure, so that the selfish and dangerous impulses of all humans are held in check. Well, let me tell you where I'm really coming from. Large amounts of power are vested in the enlightened few running government agencies and bureaucracies because they're the only ones capable of getting these perfect solutions. We like this because then we can focus on maximum use of power and force. That's the whole point. There's no way that we allow power to be concentrated in any enlightened few. Now we get to the conclusion. Clearly you can see that there's a wide diversity of perspectives, and therefore the likelihood of these people actually compromising becomes zero. And of course, what I presented are extremes. There are middle grounds where people are migrating a little bit back and forth, but this is therefore the worldviews of progressives versus conservatives. Thank you.